Alexander Central football history, for the first time in the history of high school football in North Carolina. We're going to have our second season this year. Of course, we had no football in 2020, the pandemic. We had a spring season, and we had a lot of success in the spring season. It got off to a rocky start, Coach. Let's talk a little bit about what was the spring season. Rocky start. Essentially, we sent a JV team to South Iredell. I would have bet you any amount you wanted to bet that was the only game we would have played. I thought the plug was going to be pulled. I had no optimism whatsoever that we were going to be able to get through this, but we did.
We did, and you and I spoke several times about the possibility of losing the season and win, and that's kind of the reason we made the decision, Nathan Robinson and myself and my coaching staff. If we were going to be able to play, we were going to play. As long as it was safe, for the players participating, we were going to try to play every game we could. And so we did put a souped up JV team, I guess you would call it, together. And a lot of credit to those young men. They went out there and played well and
they did.
Fought hard. I don't know if I've ever been involved with a defeat where you felt like you had won. So we really did. We felt that way, and I was proud of them, and we got some guys some experience. And then, we move into the second week, obviously, and we started getting our COVID guys back. And, you could say, well, you probably should have went and played. I don't think any other team would have played, but our guys wanted to play, and we didn't know how long we were going to play.
Well, I was nervous every time the phone rang all last spring because I just knew they were going to say, well, we're just going to, we're done. But we laid that dodo egg at Watauga, and you kind of got to give a pass because you mentioned it, Coach. We had a lot of kids. We had a lot of young men that were just coming off protocol. Some of them had one, maybe two practices for the first time in 2 weeks prior to that game. So going up against Watauga, it showed we weren't ready.
No, we weren't. And we knew going into the game that, we were going to have some issues in that area. But, going back, our senior players, which was a majority of them that was quarantined at that time, wanted to play. It was their senior year.
Sure.
They'd been through a whole lot anyway, and we wanted to provide them with the opportunity. So, safely, we wanted to go do it, and I thought we competed hard, but we just definitely wasn't ready because you always make your biggest games from that first playing week to the second. And heck, they really hadn't had any preseason practice, and we got quarantined, and then here we are playing. So it was tough, but they handled it, and then we ended up rolling off 5 straight wins and scratching our way back into the playoffs, and went and played the state champion, and so
5 straight wins. The rest of the regular season, we played very well. We knew we had to do that to even have a shot of getting into postseason. We weren't sure we were going to get the postseason. Even with that, we did. We drew a really good team that won a state championship, hung with them a long time into the third quarter. They were just better than us. Let's be honest.
They're state champions. They were a good football team. We knew it going in, but I got to give our coaching staff and our players a lot of credit. They prepared a great game plan, and we went after those guys, and really should have been tied up at halftime. We had a couple, looking back, we had the ball. Raheem had a good run and got down inside the 5-yard line, and we had a holding penalty set us back, and then we ended up turning the ball over. So that was a scoring opportunity wasted, and then we ended up scoring in the last play of the half.
I want to show you this. This is the program from senior night we had during the spring. There's a picture of 16 young men on the front page of this program, and they're not just 16 young men. Some of these young men played prominent roles in this program for 2 years, some of them 3. Okay, let's talk about what we lost. We should give them some due here. Raheem Craig, you've got nobody that can replace him. You won't have anybody that can replace him next year. Maybe a generational player. I think that's completely fair to say. Raheem's at Louisville. We're hoping that he makes us all proud of him. I know he will. You don't replace him. There's no way.
No, I mean, he's a special talent, and and what we do as a coaching staff, and I really believe this, we've stuck with our guns on this. We prepare and give our players opportunity to do what Raheem Craig does.
Yeah.
So we provide those opportunities, and then it's up to the players. And looking back at Raheem, the one thing that he had that I can't teach, no one can teach us. He played snap the whistle as hard as anybody. And he may line up wrong. He may do this wrong.
Yeah.
But he made up for that with his relentless effort to get to the ball.
He did.
And so we've tried to provide those opportunities for our players, and they just got to click and take advantage of it. So he did, and he is someone that you don't replace a Raheem Craig.
Well, some other names too, besides Raheem. Obviously, everybody thinks of him, but Tanner Abernathy, Josh Abernathy, Blake Martin, Abram Boston, Lance Justice, Landon Dula, Deontay Calhoun. A lot of these kids started on the varsity for 3 years, Coach. You were so used to these kids, and they were good football players, and that's part of high school football. But you've never had to replace here a group like this.
Fantastic group, and you are exactly right. It's top to bottom a good group. I tell you, I wish we. Unfortunately, they had to go through what they had to go through with COVID.
It's not fair, but no way it's fair.
Yeah, and so going back to the spring season, that's one reason we wanted to play no matter what, because they had earned that. They wanted to do that. So, you want to keep those type of players in your program the whole time you're coaching, because they make your job a lot easier. I would have loved to have seen what that group of seniors could have done in a regular
I would have too.
Fall season with, no restrictions, good training camp like we're going under right now, getting prepared and ready to play. It's a good group.
And team had playoff run written all over.
We felt that way. We did.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give them a lot of credit, not just the seniors, but our team in general. We started out 0-2. We fought COVID. We had some issues. And we rolled our sleeves up and won the next 5. And did a great job getting back in where we need to get to and getting ourselves opportunity.
Well, that was then. Now we get ready for the fall season, hopefully a full and complete season. To me, it is a season of question marks. We're going to try to answer some of those questions in a moment. All right, let's answer some questions because, and I know even at this point, and we're just a few days before the start of the season, Coach, I don't think you have all the answers yet. Let's start with the defense. Let's go on the defense. All right, gaping holes to fill. We mentioned Raheem Craig. We mentioned Landon Dula. We mentioned Blake Martin. You're not going to replace those 3. No. They're really, really good. We know what Raheem did. We know that Blake and we know that Landon occupied blockers. I wanted to play as a linebacker behind guys like that.
Absolutely.
Because they had to use a lot of personnel to block those guys. All right, let's start with up front, the defensive line. What do we have?
Definitely a concern going into our preseason this year. And you touched on it about as good as you could. The Blake Martin and Dula are 2 big bodies in there that you just they're good inside run stoppers that high schools don't have a lot of them, and we were very lucky to have them, and which I think in turn released Raheem on the edge a little bit more to play a little more free as he did. Dalton Beck and Russell Frazier at linebacker helped them run around and helped them out tremendously. But I think it starts there. No matter what level you coach, the game of football, not 7-on-7, it was meant to be played in the trenches, and they were 2 good guys. You just weren't going to run inside on them consistently. And we're definitely going to miss them. So we're probably going to have to blend a little different style, as a little bit more slanting and moving and penetrating and using some quickness more than just power, eating up gaps. So there's a lot of ways to do it, and the biggest thing we got to find out in the preseason is what's the most effective way for us to do it.
It's hard to say, but who are we looking at getting significant playing
Well,
time.
right now, we're rolling a lot of guys in there right now.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
we scrimmaged Friday, and it looked like a hockey line change. I mean, they were in and out. But we want to get them on film, and Tommy Klein, we feel like is going to be a good football player for. He started as a sophomore last year for us, and we moved Colt Ward, who was a linebacker on our JV team.
Right.
We moved him down to our rush position, kind of a little bit like where Raheem played. He's a smaller, a little undersized, but he's quick, tough. He's going to fight you. He's going to play hard every snap. And then we got a host of guys that play offensive line, defensive line that will just be backing each other up. And we got Wesley McAlpin, who's a sophomore, who has been starting. He's a big kid that hopefully in time he'll be able to plug that inside run for us as well.
Well, it's a challenge because you watch football and sometimes people don't get it. They'll say, "Oh, why are you talking about this defensive line? I mean, he only made 2 tackles in the game." Okay, they're having to put 2 people to block him, and that your linebacker's running around. Okay, linebackers. Now, you mentioned Dalton Beck, and you mentioned Russell Frazier. Hey, pretty good place to start right there. Those are 2 really good football players.
Two outstanding inside or outside line. They're multiple. They can play a lot of different positions.
Yeah.
But the number one I'll start with, their attitude and effort's always good. They're coachable. You can move them around. Good leaders on our football team, and they're going to have to anchor that defense down.
Dalton's one of those players. They're all football players, but I know you appreciate the fact that he is a football player. You can plug him in different places, he'll do fine.
Yeah, I was talking about the South Iredale game last year. He was one of the juniors we had that was playing in that game, and I'll tell you what, he poured it out. He played both sides.
He did.
Did not come off the field hardly any at all, and we'll coach kids like that all day. Great effort.
Yeah.
Very coachable.
All right, we moved to the back end of the defense. And one of the luxuries we had last year was the extreme pressure the quarterback had on them when they passed. Raheem helped the defensive backfield. Mm-hmm. We can't dream of getting that much pressure this year. Hope we do. But defensive backfield, we had some losses there too. Talk about what we're going to see in the corners and the safeties.
Well, we like our group. I'll start with our safety play. Right now, we probably had 2 of the best JV safeties last year on our JV team, and they both play quarterback as well.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, Rick.
Tanner Moore and Luke Cameron.
Yeah, Tanner Moore and Luke Cameron. That's probably the 2 best JV safeties I've ever coached.
They were studs.
We're not going to be ashamed or shy to play them.
Really?
Well, we're not going to be. I just don't
even
think we can.
as your core. I mean,
now we're going to be smart about it.
I understand the teams, and I understand why they hesitate playing a quarterback both ways.
Right. And if we can get around doing it, we won't. But we feel like we got 2 good quarterbacks, 2 good safeties, and we're going to play them, and we'll be smart with them in rotations and so on. But then, you got Andrew Bumgardner, who's playing safety, who is kind of
interesting player to me.
He is. He's similar to a Dalton Beck. You can coach him. He's going to do everything you need him to do.
Faster than what you dream.
He is.
He runs by people sometimes.
We hope to have a good year from him. So we feel like we got 3 good safeties right there. Then our wild card guy is Cam Lackey, who he can play corner and safety, so it gives us a little more depth. Going to the corner position, we had Josh Stubbs and Luke Mitchell and Kellen Triplett coming up off our JV team.
Good athletes. I understand that Luke has suffered an injury.
He has, and hopefully we can get him back, before the end of the season. But he has, and in our last scrimmage, so we wish him the best. But he was playing really well on both sides of the ball, and you hate to see that.
Of course he was. That's the way it always works, right?
It is. So we feel like we got some depth there. We got some good quality.
You mentioned Josh Stubbs. I want to talk a little bit about him. He's the one guy last year, and every year we have somebody crawls out of the woodwork. I didn't think I'd be calling his name nearly as much as I did. Kid made a lot of plays.
Yeah, and that's one thing he does. He'll continue to make plays and plays and plays. You look at him, and I think a lot of opposing teams look at him and say, all right, we're going to put our best receiver on him.
He's a little guy.
And he's going to intercept you because he's going to be in position.
He knows where,
He's extremely smart. He plays good technique and understands the coverages. And very, very rarely will you see him out of place.
Yeah.
And that's usually what a lot of people don't understand. When you see somebody running wide open, we have all of our coverage schemes and everything are designed to take everything away, obviously. But if you blow an assignment or miss something, but he's very good at not blowing assignment. He knows the coverages and he plays them really well.
Well, that's the defense. So we'll talk about the Cougar offense, and boy, there's some big changes there too. We'll talk about it in a moment. Somebody said a long time ago, I think it was Mae West, it's what's up front that counts. And she didn't mean exactly the same thing, but okay, offensive line coach. We had a good offensive line last year. I think they got better as the year went along. They were big. The thing that I've noticed being around the kids this year, we are not as big. We're just not. We were blessed with size last year. You already said we're going to try to be a little quicker. Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk about up front. What about the offensive line?
Well, we'll start at the center position. Right now we're looking at two young men to step in there. And right now, if we had to play, obviously, it would be Nate Dahlstrom off our JV team last year as a sophomore, and Josh Daniels, who's a returning senior, does have some experience. Josh also will be playing in some guard. We got to be really smart with our guard play because we got a lot of guys playing both ways. If I had to throw a starting offensive line out at you right now, moving left to right, be our left tackle would be Connor Zink.
Connor played a lot last year.
And he's had a good preseason, so
good.
We're excited about Connor. Our left guard right now would probably be Dalton Beck, who is a starting inside linebacker as well.
Yeah.
Nate Dahlstrom right now is doing well at center. He's continuing to get better and better, and I think he will as we go. He's athletic,
right?
Tremendous wrestler. He knows how I guess, body control, and he's
sure.
He's young. He just needs some weight room, and he'll continue to grow and mature. Our right guard right now, we're looking at Josh Daniels in there and Tommy Klein. And then our right tackle, we're looking at a sophomore, Wesley McAlpin, right now. I'm going to go ahead and throw the tight end position in there because he's kind of a glorified offensive lineman for us. We lost Blake Martin, who was just a nightmare of a problem for people on the edge. Yeah. He's, 6'3", 280, 90 pounds. He was a lot of problem on the edge for our opponents. So Andrew Fox right now is doing a good job for us at the tight end position. He's getting better in both scrimmages. Preston Hudson, get him called up, get him ready. I think he has a tremendous up end athletically. He's very athletic. So we got some depth there. We've even worked Chase Boston a little bit at some tight end. And then we had a sophomore come out this year that we're extremely happy about, that we feel like can play tight end. We're going to teach him tight end and split ends. Chad Lasher from our basketball program, and he's a big athletic young man. He's a sophomore as well. So we're excited. We feel like we have the makings of having a really good offensive line if we can stay healthy.
Coach, I don't think there's much secret. Cameron Lackey is going to have a big year. He thinks he's going to have a big year.
We're going to put him in position to have the biggest year he can have.
Let's go back to early last season. He was one of the ones in COVID protocol against Watauga. He struggled. He had a fumble. And I think it shook his confidence a little bit.
He did.
And he got a little better. He got a little better. He got a little better. Week 6, he's a stud. Week 7, people are dreading him. And even against Mount Tabor, he showed that he is an elite high school running back. Now, I don't want to put a number of how many yards he's going to gain this year, but I think he's going to gain a lot.
I think he has a capability to, just in his ability. Yeah. We need to recognize the talents of all of our players, but he's definitely a young man that we need to get. He has the chance to make a big play. He's a big playmaker.
Absolutely.
And going back to the Tabor game in the spring, I can't remember exact yardage, but I know he probably had some of the most rushing yards against them that they've had against them maybe the whole season.
Absolutely.
So you know, level wise, playing with that level, he did not look out of sorts. He looked like he could play at that level with the players such as Mount Tabor. So
yeah.
we're excited about Cameron. We feel like he has a ability to make some big plays.
Well, as the season went along last year, and we all knew that he was the ingredient. I mean, we were getting 5, 6, 7 yards a carry, but Cam's the guy that can turn that 5-yard gain into 50. He's got some wiggle. He's sort of got a nose for the end zone, and you know he can erase some mistakes by making a big play.
But you brought it up, and it's a great point. He really did struggle. Watauga that first game. He just wasn't ready mentally.
You know, and it was kind of unfair to expect a lot of those kids to.
I know.
I mean, they hadn't practiced, and then you know, it was just.
It was tough, but boy, he grew every week.
He did.
He grew every week, and hopefully, you know, if there is a benefit having spring, is we had a good. I mean, there's college teams that don't get to practice like that in the spring, so we were able to have a good spring practice and hopefully springboard him into the fall.
Lance Justice started quarterback for 3 years, Coach. Terrific team leader, tough as nails. I mean, he would run over people. He ran. I mean, I know your quarterback, you don't necessarily want your quarterback lowering his head trying to run over a linebacker or a corner. Ease it out of bounds, Lance, but that wasn't his way. Tough kid, played hard as he could play. His passing was never very accurate. He had a good arm, but he just never could get it accurate. But you're going to miss a lot of things from Lance Justice. I mean, a lot of things.
Well, just his leadership, first and foremost, is something that you miss right out of the gate. And then his toughness, as you hit on, is, I mean, he's as tough as an old school fullback back in the day. So and you knew that he had his thumb on the offense, and he knew what was going on. And they're hard to replace. Now, we got 2 good young quarterbacks that we really like, and they both have certain skills, a little bit better in certain areas, each one. So we're going to use both of them. And
we're going to have a 2-headed monster.
Yep, we're going to do that, and obviously we'll go with the hot hand once we're in there.
Yeah. Well, Tanner, let's talk a little bit about the 2 quarterbacks. Luke Hammer was your starter on JV last year. He's a junior this season. He is one of those kids that he's got whatever it is, he's got it. He sees things on the field. Mm-hmm. You see it when he's playing safety. You see it when he's playing quarterback. He knows what he's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And not everybody does.
No, and he does, and he's probably not a very verbal leader, but I think he leads by example and plays hard. And I know the team trusts him, and I think both the quarterbacks get along really well together, and they know each other has certain talents that they can contribute to our team to be successful.
Right.
But he's a joy to coach, and I can say that probably for about all of our team. They're fun to coach, and he is fun to coach, and I have plenty of confidence with whichever quarterback's in there.
Tanner Moore, and he's a sophomore, and I think he's going to grow some more. I think he's going to get stronger. He's got a fire hose. He can spin it. I mean, you can talk about anybody you want to talk about that's played quarterback at this school at that stage in his sophomore season. Tanner Moore can spin it as well as any of them.
He can, and he gives you confidence as a coach. Matt Wilson made this comment. He gives you confidence as a coach to pull the trigger on the pass play a little quicker than you would with some quarterbacks.
He's sort of a gunslinger.
Yeah, and he don't mind to. The receiver don't have to be completely open. He still feels like he can get it to where the receiver can catch the football.
Brett Favre.
Very, very similar in that mindset.
Brett Favre was a gunslinger. He didn't throw it through windows. Brett would try to throw it through a porthole.
Yeah.
It don't always work.
No.
But Tanner's got the gun that get it in there sometimes. You and I talked about this earlier. He's one of these young men that he's very difficult. He's very hard on himself. When he makes a mistake, he takes it very personal. He kind of beats himself up. And you use that golf analogy all the time. It's perfect.
It is.
Before you get to that next tee, you got to flush it.
Yeah, because you're gonna make that bogey turn into a double, and that double turn into a triple. So, and you got to kind of coach that way too.
Yeah.
We're gonna make some bad calls. You're gonna, you're gonna maybe turn open the wrong way. You're gonna do some things wrong. So, I use that term a lot. Go to the next hole.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's one thing that the difference between the highly professional golfer is the ability to mentally approach to go to the next hole and learn from your mistake and just let's move on, because you, like you said, you don't want to make that one bad play turn into several bad plays.
No. Well, I'm going to fog you a little bit here. I asked you 3 years ago, I asked you 2 years ago, I asked you last year. We're going to throw the ball a little more this year. I mean, there were some games last year we didn't try to pass.
Well, I think the first thing we got to do is look, what can we do to win?
Sure.
What's going to give us, what's going to give Alexander Central the best chance to win against an opponent?
Right.
If you're playing a Mount Tabor, we're probably not going to win that track meet.
No.
So, we got to be careful there. But we feel like we should be able to throw the football when we want to throw it, not when we have to. You don't want to get in a situation in a game where we have to throw now. So we want to be able to play action pass and bootleg and get our quarterbacks out in space, let them use their athleticism and throw. The wing tee passing game is kind of off the West Coast offense. A lot of play action, throw it to your backs, curls. And we don't mind taking the old Raider approach sometime and throwing one deep every once in a while. So I think we have a lot of confidence, and hopefully we will be able to throw the ball when we want to.
Who can catch it?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the kids that can catch some passes for us this year.
Well, we got Josh Stubbs, who's playing at split end for us right now, and he does a great job. As you can tell by the interceptions he makes, he can catch the football.
Yes, he can.
We like Daniel Speck right now. He's a little scrappy receiver, and to be honest, he may have some of the best hands we have on the team.
I hope people underestimate him because he loves that.
Yep, he's scrappy, and he'll make the difficult catches. We got Kellen Triplett, who's getting better and better. He just
got some athletic ability.
Yep, got to continue to mature there. Luke Hammer can go out there and play wide receiver.
He can.
Gives you another threat. And we do. We know we still have our eye on Chad Lasher. The biggest thing with Chad right now, he didn't play his freshman year, so we just need to get him some playing time. So we're excited. We got some bodies out there. We feel like in practice we've been throwing the ball around. We have our regular sessions, and we seem to be doing well. Now, what you don't want to get into is a regular session where you're not completing 15 or 10% on air. Yeah, we need a high percentage versus air. So, when we can pitch it and catch it at a high percentage on routes on air, then, but like I said earlier, and I agree with Coach Wilson, especially Tanner Moore makes you feel very comfortable in calling those pass plays.
The one thing I overlooked on offense, and I'm ashamed, is the fullback, because I had him written down right here because I love him. I watched this kid run the football on JV, and he is a throwback. We're talking about Logan Shoemaker. This kid, to me, he is one of the kids that you want everybody to have some of that. Give me the ball. I'm not afraid. Give me the ball.
And he'll block you too.
Yeah.
He'll block you, and he's a very intelligent player. Learns very quick as far as plays, and Logan and Russell Frazier will probably splitting time at the B-back position or full-back position, and we do have Cam Lackey who can go in there and play that position for us as well.
Right.
So we're fairly multiple in the backfield, but yeah, it's hard to go without talking about this offense without the old school.
I can't believe I left that to last, because in your world, that's first.
Yeah. And unfortunately, they're a dying breed in the football world
at
this day and time. But he's a load. He's going to get you tough yards.
Absolutely. All right, we've talked about the defense. We've talked about the offense. A lot of changes. We changed classifications this year. The conference is different. We're going to talk about the schedule. Somebody was drinking when they put it together. We'll talk about it in a moment. I know why the schedule is so daunting. because firstly, we're in a 6-team league. Hickory, St. Stephen's, and McDowell left. High Brighton and Ashe County came in. High Brighton's been in our league before. So we've only got 5 conference games, and we're only playing 10 this year. So we got to come up with 5 non-conference games. And for whatever reason, you could address this if you want to. I talk about it, but I don't know what you want to say. There's some schools in this area that just won't talk to us.
I mean, I don't mind saying it the way it is. First thing when you do when you approach scheduling is you got to look at travel.
Sure.
And you got to look at, it costs to travel, and it costs, and then also you got to look at, who's going to bring fans. I don't know any reason somebody would not want us on their schedule. You're going to have a tremendous gate. We have the best fans in Western North Carolina.
We bring mom, we bring dad, we bring grandma and grandpa, we bring the kids, we buy popcorn, we eat hot dogs.
Yeah.
We buy a program.
I mean, everybody should be calling me to get us on the schedule.
Absolutely.
Well, so we moved to, we restructure our conference. They opened the gates up. Now you start looking for non-conference games.
Yeah.
And it was daunting.
Sure.
I mean, again, we start with schools that are close.
Sure.
Wilkes Central dropped us, did not want to play for whatever reason, but I know that was a good gate.
Sure.
And they played us well several times. But then, now I will say, in behalf of some schools, they were locked down because they were in a bigger conference.
Catawba County schools, particularly, I think.
And Iredell as well.
Yeah.
I think we're in a situation. So we were fighting against that. So, but anyway, you always, as a coach, you got to start local.
Yeah.
So Wilkes Central, West Iredell, North Iredell, Statesville, and South Iredell are some of the teams that we started out with. St. Stephen's and obviously Hickory. We didn't feel like we were going to get Hickory for a long time. That was
really
tough to try to get that game scheduled, but luckily we got that pulled off. Nathan Robinson stepped in and helped with that one as well.
To me, that's a Michael Corleone game. You keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Mm-hmm. That's Hickory. We've got to play them. I know there's some issues there, and you know it. And I told you that when you came here. Nothing rings the bell in this community like Hickory, and that's who we open with.
So we were able to get that accomplished and get that game on the schedule. And then from there, I mean, I've already exhausted all of our local schools and could not work anything out, either due to scheduling or whatever it may be within their county. We thought we had a game, thought we was going to be able to get Statesville back.
Yeah, I thought that one was locked in.
I did too, and turned around and called and said they couldn't. It was a mistake. Then we felt like we was going to be able to keep South Iredell, which is a good game for us. And something happened in Iredell County where I think the superintendent or the school board or the local LEA, whatever, wanted them to play within Iredell County in their non-conference games. So we were kind of stuck out in the breeze.
So here's what we end up with before we get to the conference season. We start with Hickory. We go to North Gaston, who we played before. AC Reynolds, the donkey ride through hell. I mean, that's what I've always called it. They're a great football program. Long drive up there. Lake Norman, who we used to be in the conference with, and Marvin Ridge in Charlotte. We'll leave at 1 p.m. That is an unbelievable schedule. And people ask me all the time, why are we going to Charlotte? Why are we going to Asheville? Why are we going here? People around here won't play us. It's that simple.
We didn't want to do it.
No.
But we do want to provide our players opportunity to play 10 games.
Sure.
And it was getting pretty risky a couple times to just even feel the game. So it is a good schedule, and it can do nothing but make us better.
Let's talk a little bit about the opener, Hickory. You know Joe Glass. I know Joe Glass. Joe's a former assistant here. He took the Hickory job. They were 0-7 last year. And by the end of the season, what I saw, there was no way they were going to win a game. They were finished. That's not going to happen with Joe there. Joe has pumped some life into that program. He's got some athletes. We saw that last year. The first thing he started working on, I had a conversation with him And he said, you know where I'm going to start. He's starting up front. He's going to get, they're going to be better on the offensive line and the defensive line because they have some athletes. This is going to be a hard game. Hickory's going to be tough.
They're very talented. He's going to install a culture there that's going to continue to grow and get better.
Yes, he is.
He will have them ready to play, and I think he changes the whole morale of the high school as far as football goes. He will have them ready to play. They will be a very organized, well-coached football team.
No doubt about it. Conference, as we mentioned, Hickory's no longer in the conference, although we're playing them. St. Stephen's is out of the conference. McDowell is out of the conference. Enter Ashe County, who the last time we played, we hung 80 on them. We didn't try to hang 80 on them, but we just kept having to score because they kept scoring.
If they would have stopped scoring, we would have probably stopped scoring.
I know you. Matt Wilson told me that. He said, "Don't get mad at me." He said, "They keep scoring. We got to keep scoring."
Yeah,
they won their conference last year. They had a heavy loss in graduation. Defensive backfield better be ready. We know they're going to throw it a lot.
They're going to throw the football, and they're going to be well coached.
Absolutely.
They're going to be blue collar too. And it's a beautiful place.
I love it up there.
It's beautiful, and but they're it's going to be a different point. You better not overlook Ashe County.
That's right.
They're a good football team.
We have still in the conference Freedom, who they started out 2-0 last year and kind of stubbed their toe. We kind of ruined their season. Mm-hmm. They never recovered from what we did to them, but I expect them to be much in the way of Hickory. I expect them to be greatly improved this year. I really do.
Very athletic. They're going to play the spread offense, and they're going to get you out in space and use their athleticism to win matchups and different things. And anytime you play a team like that, it gives them a great chance to get back into a game or get ahead of you in a game. So, but they're going to be well coached as well. I think Coach does a good job with them there, and it would have been hard to start in the fall, so you kind of take that as well. We're just putting our program together.
Yeah.
So I expect to see them with a whole different attitude coming into this fall.
High Brighton comes in. Excellence. They've had a lot of it. A couple years ago, we played them, beat them in a really good game to open the season in Lenoir. We know they'll be very good. In a preseason media poll, they were picked to win the conference. I picked them to win the conference. In my mind, I'm looking at High Brighton and I say, if I'm going to pick somebody, I'm not saying we can't win the conference. We absolutely can. But let's put the target on their chest. That's who I gave the target to.
I don't have a problem with that.
Why not put it on their chest? South Caldwell, heavy graduation losses, a lot like us, I think. Watauga.
Yeah, they went.
Say what you want to say. Be mad at me if you want to be mad at me. And this is not a knock on you. It's not a knock on the coaches. Not a knock on the kids. We had COVID issues going into that game. I know we were better than them last year. Did we play like it? Oh, heck no. But for some reason, Coach, we can't beat Watauga in the last several years.
I think, I don't know, I don't do well with stats and things of that nature. I know we beat them my first 2 years. Yep. And I think they've reeled off the next two. I don't know exactly.
Next couple years, admittedly, they were very good football team.
This past year, and I'll say this, and I would say it to their face. If you flip-flop the situation, I don't even think they would have played us.
I agree.
I just don't think they would have.
Yeah, I agree.
But, right, wrong, good or bad, our kids wanted to play.
They did.
And they've worked hard. They've been through enough. And we'd made a decision, if we can do this safely, we're always going to try to play if we can.
Sure.
And so we did it, and, we spoke about this earlier, but, it was, I just don't think some of the other teams would have done the same thing.
So that's basically what lies in front of us. I go back to what I said at the top. This for me, and I don't have the answers that you have right now, and I know you're still searching for some answers, but this is a season. I don't like to use rebuilding. I don't like to use that. But it is absolutely a season of question marks. It's been a while since we've had as many question marks. Okay, we had a JV team that hadn't lost since the earth cooled around here. But people have to realize there's a lot of difference in Thursday and Friday night.
A lot of difference, and what a lot of people don't realize, and take nothing away from our program, especially our JV program as well.
Fantastic.
You know, a lot of teams are has not been as blessed as we have been to be able to play,
Right.
and not have to move a lot of sophomores up every year.
Yep.
Well, this year we've had to move a lot of sophomores up.
Yep.
You know, we got six sophomores on our varsity team right now. You know, through our scrimmages, and we'll make some decisions and make sure we get them in the right spots.
And knowing you, I know that the only way you're going to bring a sophomore up is that sophomore's going to play.
He has to play, and he has to play, you know, 75-80% of the time.
Right.
If not, he needs to play down. I've always built through our JV program.
Yeah.
Now, again, take nothing away from what we've accomplished with that JV program and the record and wins and whatever, you know, but we've been very lucky and fortunate not have to rob our JV team every year.
Absolutely. And I think a big
And we have a little bit this year, so we'll see.
I think a big part of it is, and I believe this wholeheartedly, and people agree with me when we go, we coach our JV teams better than other places do. We just do.
Yeah.
We coach them the same way we coach our varsity.
Exactly the same.
And they are ready to play. You know, some of our JV players might get a little frustrated. You know, I'm good enough to maybe play on varsity. Well, coach doesn't think so. Prove it on Thursday night. And that's the way it should be. Coach, question marks, they're everywhere on this football team, but we've got some things that we know. It sits in front of us. I think we can have a wonderful season. I think we can win a conference championship. But to be fair, our margin for error is smaller than it's been the last few years.
Yeah, we, you know, we take the approach each year, and each team is a little bit different. We want to, the program is the same. We build through the program, but every team has a few different tweaks. You know,
Right.
you got a player that can do this, a player can do that. That's why we're a multiple wing T type offense. If you have a Gunnar Anderson, you can throw the ball a little bit more. If you, you know, I've been lucky to coach, you know, all-time leading rushers at a couple different schools now.
Yeah.
All-time leading passer at one school. So what we got to do is identify the talent and put our best players in the best position for us to be successful.
I think, and always, but I think this year, we need to stay as healthy as we possibly can, and that starts with being safe with the COVID situation, which is really ramping again. And we need to get a few breaks along the way with injuries.
Yeah, I think every school in the western part, or maybe even in North Carolina, would say that same thing.
Absolutely.
The numbers have declined. I mean, you and I have talked about it several times, and I don't think it's just us. I mean,
No.
I talked to other schools, and you know, I'm used to us being in the mid-high 80s to low 90s.
Right. And you're talking, that's
and
varsity and JV
yeah,
combined.
Correct. And now we're looking at being in, you know, mid-low 70s.
Right.
And that's a big difference. And
It is. Well, here we are. We're ready to start a football season for the second time this year. Hopefully it's the only time in the history of Alexander Central football as we embark on the 50th season, which is really the 51st. But we're going to play 2 seasons, and I'd like to see us be able to roll off a winning streak like the team did last year.
Yep, I would as well.
But I'd prefer it to wait until the conference started.
Yeah, and you know, you and I, we've discussed our non-conference schedule, and you know, the biggest thing for us, being logical and looking at our conference schedule, when we try to win every game, but we want to continue growing each week, and we need to be hitting. Our goal is to hit on all cylinders the time we get our first conference game.
Coach, I appreciate your time. We're about to embark upon another season of Cougar football. We're darn lucky to be in this environment and looking forward to it. Go Cougars.